Mommispace, a place where you can remember who you are in the midst of it all. This podcast gives moms of all stages a voice to share their experiences and the truth that there is no right way to mom. Welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and today I'm here with my very sweet friend, Alesia Brown. Alesia, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! Okay, so I just gotta tell this story.
Oh, no.
No, it's just the most classic story. Before we dive,
I think I know.
I think I tell this to everybody, like I'm introducing you to. It's just my favorite of all time, like the way that I met you.
Yes.
So Alesia and I met at Simpson University in Redding, California. And but the way that we met is very unique in that we lived right across the hall from each other. I didn't know that, though, until one night when my roommates and I were being a little boisterous and a little bit loud. We hear this knock on the door. I open the door, and it's Alesia, and she says, excuse me, can you guys please be quiet? Right? Isn't it something like that? Can you please be quiet?
Yeah.
And we were like,
can you please keep it down?
Yeah, can you keep it down? And all of us kind of stopped in our tracks and we're like, is this girl for real? And thankfully, very quickly after, she started laughing and said, I'm just kidding. You guys sound like fun. Can I come in? And that was it. I was like, this girl is amazing. So, we've been friends ever since. And we've even lived together before. And I found out Alesia was pregnant, I think halfway into my pregnancy or something like that. And I was so excited to hear her process and journey. And now that we're on the other side, I'm excited to talk to you about all of that. But before we dive in, tell us about yourself, where you're located, what does family life, daily life look like for you?
Yes. So my name is Alesia Brown. We are located in Redding, California. My husband is David Brown, and we have an 8-month-old. She actually just turned 8 months old last week. So yeah, I know. And my husband is from Scotland, so I might be referencing that a little bit. Yes,
that is also a fun story.
Yeah, that's a fun story
too.
Stories. Because we met at Simpson as well. I met my husband actually when Bree and I were living across the hall from each other. So Bree knows it all. She knows how it went down.
Oh, the days. Those are good
the days. Oh, the days. Yes. But as far as daily life, what that looks like for us is I work, Dave and I both work at Bethel Church. He does custodial at Bethel Church, and I am, my official title is the food services, I don't even know my title. I'm the food service assistant. So basically the manager of the cafe, Hebrews, and the manager of the kitchen. She's one person, and I am her assistant. So that looks like a lot of emails and admin work and stuff like that. So daily life, we kind of just juggle our 8-month-old. Her name is Autumn. I don't know if I said that, but we, like, when I'm at work, he's home watching her, and then when he's at work, I'm home watching her. So my job's really flexible. We're able to work it out like that. So we're just living day to day. Nothing super exciting. We're just in a really, like, kind of just working season right now. My husband is also in school. He's doing the Bethel School of Technology.
Nice.
So he comes home and he just buries his head in the computer to try to get his work done. Nice. So it's online, and so we're just kind of living life right now. Nothing too exciting.
Love it. That's how it is for majority of us, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Okay, cool. So will you just share the story of your journey into motherhood? What did that look like for you guys as far as trying to get pregnant? And then you can even share how your pregnancy was up into the birth and everything. Go for it.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. I I still kind of don't feel like I am a mom, but I
I know that feeling.
I just have a little person that I carry around.
Yeah.
But I kind of always like kind of pushed it away, to be honest. Like whenever people would ask us like, "Oh, when are you going to have kids?" I'm like, "Not for a while.
Mm,
Not for a while." Like, and I kind of like it almost became that thing of like, "No, like that's
mm,
not going to happen anytime soon." I kind of just didn't really want to like give up my space or
mm-hmm,
give up my life, so to speak, is like what I thought. And I just didn't want to sacrifice like quite yet.
mm.
And it was, what was it, last year in March, so in March of 2017, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went to Ireland on a missions trip, and I just had some revelation when I was in Ireland. I actually did some like inner healing when I was there,
Wow.
and like a lot of stuff came up. Just things about my mom and like what happened. If for those that don't know, my mom passed away about 10 years ago, and um, I felt when I did some inner healing that was really linked. Not having kids, not me not wanting to have kids, was linked to
Mm.
like some fears I had with just like abandonment and just like change, and it just was linked to a lot of things
Wow.
that I had experienced with my mom. And so I actually got some healing with that. And the Lord just did, he just came and just showed me of like I was actually really afraid to have kids,
Mm.
and to open myself up to that. And so after that, I came home and I told David what had happened. And we decided, okay, like if we're supposed to have kids, like let's like start trying. So we
Mm.
didn't really like, we kind of just said, well, whatever happens happens.
Yeah.
And we didn't really like try to have kids, but like lo and behold, um it was a one and done.
Nice.
So we didn't even have to wait. It was almost like the Lord just took that yes and was like, okay,
Wow.
you said yes, all right, like that's what's happening.
Wow.
So it was a shock, but it wasn't a shock. um
Yeah.
I actually found out, this is really cool, I found out I was pregnant on Mother's Day.
No
um
way. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I found out
Oh,
I was pregnant on Mother's Day, which totally like
oh
redeemed like
my
that.
gosh.
Yeah, I like want to cry like right
Oh
now
my,
talking about it. Like,
seriously. Oh,
yeah.
that's so powerful.
Yeah. So it just really confirmed, like, the Lord has my heart, and he knows that I was ready for this, and I knew I was ready for it too. I just don't think I really like wanted to go there.
Mm.
But yeah, so like once I found out I was pregnant, I mean we were thrilled after. Like
Mm.
David was in shock a little bit when I first told him, because he was like, "Well, that was fast." But
Uh,
but yeah, and it was actually really cool and really the Lord's timing, because I have a really good friend. Her name is Shar. Her full name is Charlena, and we work together. And we would work every Saturday together at the coffee shop, and we would talk about like having kids together. Like she really wanted to have kids, but I was like, no, 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 no.
yeah.
And she actually got pregnant. We went to Ireland together, and she was pregnant in Ireland and
No
didn't know it.
way. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, so we get home from Ireland, and the next like couple days I saw her a couple days later, and she told me she was pregnant. And I
Wow.
was like, what? And then she was like, you need to get pregnant. And I was like, no, 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 no. And then 4 weeks later, I got
Wow.
pregnant.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I got to be pregnant with my best friend,
Oh,
and
that's
like we had
amazing.
another really good friend who was pregnant as well, and so it was just super fun. No, we had two
Wow.
other good friends. I think out of our friend group, there was four of us that got pregnant within like
Wow.
3 months of each other.
That's crazy. I remember hearing about all of that, like from my
Yeah,
brother and
yeah,
sister in law, and they are now expecting, which is so
and yeah,
exciting.
yeah, it's
Oh.
so fun. So yeah,
Oh,
so your brother and sister are or sister-in-law are part of like our friend group and stuff
yes.
too. And so it's just really fun. We're all having
Oh.
babies and we're all doing life together and it's super fun. We really love like where we're at
Mm,
in this season. So
so special.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then you found out you're pregnant. How was your pregnancy? What was your
Oh
birth story like? I mean,
oh geez. That's a whole nother story. Um yeah, so my pregnancy was really great. I barely had any morning sickness. Literally it was like the breast. It was the best
I'm
pregnancy.
keeping that in.
um it was the best pregnancy that I probably could have wished for. I literally like not even any heartburn. Like I
Oh
think I
my
probably had like a little bit of like I don't know, indigestion or something is what I
gosh.
it felt like it was like towards the end, but like I felt so good the whole
Oh,
pregnancy. So I had no issues. There was a little like moment where my blood pressure was a little high, but that was like it. So
wow.
my whole pregnancy was great. We decided to have a home birth,
Hmm.
and that I feel like that was just a decision that I really actually wanted to have a home birth. David was a little bit like, little bit nervous at first. But the more that we talked about it, the more he was like, yeah, let's do this.
Hmm.
Like, let's have a home birth. And mostly just because I personally like I just wanted to be in my own home and I
Yeah.
just wanted to just be in the comfort of my own home. I wanted to be in my bed and I wanted to be able to just not have any, you distractions or anything
Totally.
like that. And um, so, yeah, so had a home birth. I actually went into labor the night of my due date, or I started having contractions. Sorry. I started having contractions the night of my due date. And and then I was in labor for 4 days.
Oh man. Holy moly. Oh.
And I mean, part of that was like on and off. Like I actually went so that night I was having contractions that were like literally 5 minutes apart,
Wow.
like but it was on and off,
Yeah.
um like it'd be 5 minutes apart and then it'd be 15 minutes apart and then 10 and then 2 and then so they were all over the place. But my midwives, they kept an eye on me and they're like, they told me that I was getting there and
Yeah.
I I was going into I was going into labor, so
Yeah. Yeah.
but then um that morning I didn't really get a whole lot of sleep, and then the next morning like 6 a.m. They just gave me like this the midwives here, I don't know what other midwives do, but
Yeah.
they gave me this like sleeping pill basically that like they're like, if you can keep this down,
Yeah.
then we know that you aren't in active labor. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool. So um I kept it down and my contractions stopped for like 12 hours.
Okay. Wow.
So um and they'd said that the my contractions didn't stop because of the sleeping pill.
Yeah.
I just think, my body was actually, what we found out later was my hips were out of alignment. She was actually, Autumn was facing the wrong way. So
Wow.
she wasn't breached, she was just turned,
Yes.
like
Yes.
her back was just the wrong way. And which was crazy because my whole pregnancy, you know, she was facing the right way. She was perfect. And then
Wow.
last minute, she decided she wanted to turn around. And so that kind of complicated things a little bit. And, you know, they said that's one of the reasons why my contractions were so sporadic. And
Okay.
so basically that just kept going on. And I wasn't dilating. So like
Okay.
morning when they checked me, um, I wasn't even like a centimeter I was like only a centimeter dilated or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh crap. Like
Yeah.
I just knew. I was like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that kind of just went on for like 2 days ish. Well, no, so after the 12 hours, it was at nighttime again. I started having contractions again the next night. And then they just didn't stop for like 2 days. And
Wow.
so yeah, it was pretty intense. I was also having a lot of back labor, so like we had the
Yeah.
pool and I actually was not comfortable in the pool. The only thing that would really like kind of relieve my pain was being in the shower
Mm.
with hot water. And um yeah, so by the end of it I was just really exhausted.
Oh
And
man.
my midwives were like, you are a queen, like you
Oh.
get a tiara.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they basically had to do some like interventions to like get her down and get her lower.
Yeah.
And um which after they did that, she came within like an hour.
Wow.
They ended up breaking my water earlier the day that she came. And it was just pretty intense. So much happened
Yeah.
during my labor. um since things that I don't remember that they told me afterwards. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, like, you know, like they told me that even if I were to go to the hospital, like I wouldn't have been dilated enough,
Mm.
like
Mhm.
to be induced or whatever,
Yeah.
or to even like go to the hospital. So, and I don't know, like I probably would have had a C-section if I were to go to the hospital because it
Yeah.
was taking so long, which I'm thankful that I did end up having her at home.
Yeah.
The one thing is, so after she came out, she had swallowed meconium
Mhm.
and wasn't breathing very well on her own. And so she actually ended up having to be transferred to the hospital. And that was really hard.
Yeah.
That she was in the hospital. She was in a NICU for 10 days after.
Wow.
So obviously with hormones,
Oh my
with
gosh.
thinking back on my labor, I just immediately felt so much guilt. And I
Mm.
basically put all of this, like, it's my fault. Like, I shouldn't have had a home birth.
Mm.
This and that. And, after like talking it out with the midwives, they just reassured me, like, no, it's like, it's okay. It's not your fault. Like,
Yeah.
this happens to babies all
Yeah.
the time. She just needed some extra support,
Yeah.
and that's what the hospital's for. And so,
Yes.
um, so yeah, it actually like took me, like, I kind of struggled with it, like even a couple weeks after she was home. And just really had to process that whole thing with the Lord, because I just felt really like, I felt like I had lost like
Mm.
a little bit with her. I mean, because I couldn't hold her for five
Mm.
days. And, even that, like, I would come home at night and go to bed, and my baby wasn't with me.
Mm.
And I would just cry and cry. And like,
Wow.
it was just a lot, like, very emotional. And in my head, I'm like, she's gonna be emotionally scarred for the
Oh
rest of her
man, right?
life.
I feel like yeah. Wow.
And like, she's gonna resent me. And like, I don't know.
Oh.
I know it's not true,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That's where we
It's
go
just
immediately, it feels like, for any small
yes.
thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
totally relate.
Yeah. So I just had to process it and process it with the Lord. And, and just one thing that I've learned throughout my life is just God is always good.
Mm,
Like, no
yeah.
matter what we go through, like, He's always good. And, like, we don't have to understand, like, the why. And I actually think, like, I sometimes I do that a lot, is I'm just like, well, why, God? Like, why did this have to happen? Why did she have to swallow meconium? Like, why did that happen? And he just calms my heart, and he's just like, you don't have to know about the why.
Wow.
Like you just have to know that I'm good, and, like, I'm gonna take care of things,
Yeah.
and that there is, like, redemption in everything. Like,
Yes. Wow.
in every experience that we have, like, felt loss, like, because of who He is, like, there will be redemption for it, and we may not know what that will look like always, like, so yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Like,
good.
I guess that's just what I've taken away from all of that. And,
Mm,
and not having that guilt of, like, I shouldn't have had a home birth or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. So I kind of want to skip ahead if you're okay.
Yeah.
Well, not skip ahead, but just skip to another question, because you've
Right.
mentioned guilt before, just in this a couple times. And
Yeah.
so what are some of the things that you did, like, in that moment? Like, obviously there were a lot of, like, hormonal, differences probably in your state during that time, but what were some of the
Right.
things that you did, like, practically, to help you kind of push through that stage? It
Oh,
sounds like
man.
you already shared, like, a really amazing, powerful piece. Obviously,
Right.
like, that is
Right.
just so good. But were there some other practical things? Did you lean on certain people? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. I mean, like, I need to process, like, always. And that's what I found. It's just like, when I'm in a state where I feel really in my head and really, like, because that's something that I do a lot, is I just really get in my head, and then I, like, kind of isolate myself, and I think I'm the only one dealing with that problem. And then I go and talk to people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. Like,
Mm,
you know
yeah.
so that, like, and that's what I did a lot. Like I said, it was really helpful, like, talking to my midwives, because they had more of, like, kind of a medical perspective on things, of, like,
Mm,
how it wasn't my fault.
yeah.
um but then also just, like, talking with my friends and stuff, like, I needed to process, and I knew, like, when I felt, like, super, like, emotional and even, like, depressed,
Mm,
like, I knew to just, like, reach out, and
so good.
even my husband too, just, like, letting him know, like, I'm actually not doing good.
Yeah.
And I actually just need to be held, or I just need to
Mm.
cry, and I'm a really good crier.
You are such a good crier. I've honestly always admired that about you. uh,
I just know when I need to cry, and I
yes,
just
that's so
let it
good.
go.
I think a lot of people struggle with that, so I think it's so good. Like,
Just let it go, girl.
let it go.
So
Aw.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what, like, kind of leveled me out with, like, getting rid of that guilt, is, like, knowing that, like, I'm not crazy,
Yeah,
just having other people's perspective and stuff
it's
too.
huge.
So
It's so good.
yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. So, I like to ask moms, like, what brings you life and joy? Are there things that you have that you're passionate about, that you are learning to pursue alongside motherhood? What does that look like?
Hmm.
So, yeah. What do you think about that?
um okay, well, let me just think about this.
Yeah, go for it.
um so as far as, like, things like passions and stuff like that, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like, I feel like I have a lot of passions, and I feel like I'm slowly just, like, trying to figure them out in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, trying to stay like sane in the
Mm,
moment, I
mm.
guess.
That's so good.
Like not overwhelming myself with
Yeah.
thinking about like, okay, I need to be doing this
Yeah.
to pursue this, or this is what I should be doing, over here. Like I do, like, this, like, music has always been
Yes.
something that I have desired to pursue and to keep to just practice and,
Yeah.
keep my skill up. And I have done a really horrible job of doing that. Like, really
uh,
bad. And it's really been this like constant struggle of like, this is what I'm passionate about. Like, I love
mm,
worship and I love, like, music. Music's always been a part of my life.
yeah.
And just, I feel like I make up an excuse like every single season of like, well, I'm in this season, so I can't do it. Or,
Mm.
which I know sometimes you just have to like stop making excuses and just do it. But I just haven't done that yet.
I think like it's interesting as you're saying this, like I had this thought of like we should talk about guilt that comes with like our passions in life too, because I
Right.
feel like,
Oh my
you know
gosh.
what I mean? Like I feel like I
Yes.
ask a lot of moms obviously this question, and like I have certain passions in my life as well, but I feel like sometimes I can focus so much on, oh, I should be doing this, or yeah, like you're saying, like I should be practicing and I should be
Uh-huh.
keeping my skill level to a certain whatever. And I
Yeah.
feel like that, like at least for me, like I've struggled even recently like with feeling like it gets in the way of this huge priority of being a mom. Like this is something that I've wanted. And
Uh-huh.
now that I have what I've wanted, it's like there's this huge thing that kind of shoots in and tries to distract and take away from. Not to say that it's not okay to pursue like my passions or our
Yeah.
passions, but I don't know. Yeah, it just like came
Yes.
to my mind as you're sharing.
Totally.
Like I think that's
Yeah,
important to talk about.
totally. And I feel like I definitely like I think a part of me is like, well, I just don't want to feel shame.
Yeah.
So like I'm really good at like kind of breaking like shame off of me sometimes, of
Yeah.
just like, well, I don't want to feel shame, so I'm just not gonna like, almost as an excuse of like, I don't
Yeah.
want to feel shame, so I'm just not gonna do it. But like, I don't know, I totally get what you mean though, and how
Yeah.
like a lot of the times, like, we as moms like feel guilty because we're not like pursuing like those passions. But like, this is what I was like thinking of too. It's just like priorities in your life.
Mm.
It's like, I don't think the Lord is like up there being like, well, you're not pursuing your passions, like,
Totally.
he's not, like, he knows where we're at and he knows our
Yeah.
heart, and what he's put in front of us, he's given us the strength to steward.
It's so good.
So
Yes.
like, he doesn't expect us to like, you know not that's like, it's such just like this weird gray line too, because
Yeah.
that's not an excuse.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I was going to say it's like
you know
obviously so specific to each person, but yeah, but
yes,
I love that like perspective. That's
yes,
so powerful.
yeah. And I think that's just one of the things of just like, I have priorities and I have other things that I'm pursuing right now. Like, for
Yeah.
example, like my daughter,
Yeah.
and also like being a working mom. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
working full time, but I like to work, and
Yes.
I like my job, and I want to be good at my job, and so
Yeah.
I'm putting efforts in that. And
Mhm.
uh, you know so
Totally.
as far as like, to answer that question, my passions are doing life really well with
That's so
the
good.
things that I've been given.
That's so
And
good.
just stewarding what I have, and what the Lord
Mhm.
is calling me to in the moment. So
Yes. So, speaking of stewarding in the moment, what are
yeah.
some things that you do to stay inspired and manage your time?
Oh man. Well, um okay, so I recently just took the Myers-Briggs, like
Yeah.
16 personalities thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually forgot what I am. I'm an extrovert, basically, is what I am. And I'm like partially like introverted. Like I can be introverted, and like I'm like mostly
Yeah.
extroverted, but I can be introverted as well. I like being introverted sometimes. Um, but one of the things that I'm really, really good at is being very, very busy, and like just doing things like as they come, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
One of the my weaknesses is like setting long-term goals is like my weakness. Like I hate long-term goals. So as far as like staying inspired goes, like I mean, I I started keto, right? I
Yeah.
started the keto diet, and I lasted like a week. So I'm like, screw this, I want ice cream. Like, you know.
Oh man, I feel you.
But all that to say, I'm a very busy person. I thrive off of like being busy and like doing one thing after the other, being entertained and all that kind of stuff. But as far as like managing my time, I think I have really found a balance of like resting and like knowing when I need to rest,
Mm-hmm.
and taking time to do so, because and I've actually found like when I take that time, like just to go on a walk, like I love walks. Like
Mm.
David and I go on walks like a lot, and we like now we can take Autumn and we
Mm.
just like we walk, and that's actually where him and I like talk about our
Yes.
dreams like a bunch.
Yes.
Like
I know that happens to us too. Like it's
yeah.
just this magical thing.
It is. It's just it's funny. It's just like the world is just like you know, you don't think about like what's going on, and you just like nature just does it to you.
Yeah,
You just think about
totally.
talk about your dreams of like you know, and like even like self-evaluating of like where
Mm.
am I right now? Like how am I actually doing? How's my heart doing? And so with that, I feel like I don't know if that's answering the
Yes,
managing my
totally.
time question, but it's just like I really have learned over my life of just like how to find when I need to rest and all that stuff, because I actually have found when I'm too busy I actually get sick,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and I haven't been sick in a while, so I think I'm
Yay!
doing pretty
Get it.
good.
That's so good. Yeah,
So
that's great.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
answers for that.
yeah, and also like you know, staying inspired and like managing my time, like I said before, like keeping what's a priority, and like
Yeah.
saying no to things that I don't have capacity for,
So good.
and you know, knowing that like there's different seasons and we'll get other things done in another season. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are some things that you do to take care of your heart? Like things that you do to just tend to yourself, take care of yourself?
All right. Um, take care of myself. No, I do take a lot of walks in Target by, by myself.
Yes.
I will just after Autumn's in bed, I'll okay, see
Yeah.
yeah, like I just wander. It like resets me. I'm not
Yeah.
even joking.
Yes.
Like
Now, question is do you
I don't
buy
even have to.
something when you go like every
Oh
time?
well, right now this is a season of being very very tight on our budget.
Yeah.
So not all the time, but sometimes I'll let myself like get a candle or something, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just coming home and like telling David why like I had to buy this because I needed it. Okay, I need to take care of myself.
So walks around
um,
Target, that's golden.
yeah, yeah, just getting alone. To
Yeah.
be honest, like
Yeah.
just being alone, and also like like I said before, like I have really good community. Like
Mm.
we just have just a great group of friends. Like we're like we have a group of like married friends that
Mm.
we just hang out with on a regular basis, and um we actually get together, like the guys have a guys night and the girls have a girls night, and we put babies to bed and we just get together and just chat and talk about what we've been going through and stuff. And it's just, that's been really great too, because for a while there we didn't have a whole lot of community, because Reading is just so transverse, and there's so many people that come in and out. We actually struggled there for a bit of like, yeah, we made friends, and then they like left, and we love them, but we just, and we finally kind of found our tribe, and we all have babies now and have one more on the way. And so that's actually really, really good for my heart as well, of how I take care of my heart. And so good. In another season where we're making the big bucks, what I would like to do would be like go get my nails done and go shopping and all. That's like very therapeutic for me. So that's totally what I would do.
I love it. So good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and then when you and David are out on your walks contemplating your future and your destiny, what do you guys think about when you hear the word legacy, and like what is it that you want to leave to your kids?
Man. Oh my goodness. Ugh. I love that word legacy. Like, I think about legacy all the time. I feel like I think mostly because like when my mom passed away, that was a huge topic that like the Lord spoke to me about, what was legacy. And of like my mom's life was like super short on this earth, and she didn't get to live out her full legacy of what she was created to do. And now that is passed on to her children. And so like I've always had that in my head, and now that I have a daughter, I'm like and I'm gonna have more kids, I'm like, wow, like what is it that like my mom left me such a legacy of just like how she parented and how she loved and how she just did life, and how she loved Jesus. Like those are the things that I remember about my mom. Is I remember how she loved. I remember how she loved Jesus, and I remember how she loved me, and I remember how she loved the people around her. And so like that's like when I think of my mom, like that's what I think about. And so I like take that and I'm like, oh man, like I have a responsibility now to like leave that legacy for my children. And that's like what I want to do. Like I just want to show my kids how to love and how to be kind, and and how to run to Jesus when they need something, and not to somebody else. And like he's going to be the one that's going to take care of their every need. And so that's just what I think about. So that's super important to me.
Wow, that's like even more powerful, just knowing that you actually experienced that, like a legacy being passed on. Like that's
right. Totally.
Dang, like puts it in perspective hugely. Wow.
Yeah, and I think about like all the time. I mean, sometimes it sucks because I'm like, dang it, Mom, I wish I could just know like what you would do in the situation, with or even like talking about like what was I like as a baby? Like I don't even know what I was like as a baby. Like those types. And my dad can't remember. He's like, I don't know. I can't really remember.
Oh my gosh.
Dad!
Come on, Dad.
But I just think about all of that. Like even when I'm parenting and when I'm being a mom and all that kind of stuff, I'm just like, what did my mom do? And how would she handle this situation or whatever,
Wow.
So yeah.
Cue the waterworks over here. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, well, to wrap that up, no, I like to ask a couple fun questions. So the first would be, do you have a favorite product for yourself or for sweet baby Autumn that you are really enjoying right now?
I was thinking about this, and I don't really have a favorite product. I guess like when she was a newborn, I really enjoyed the Snuggle Me. It's like
Oh.
it's kind of like the DockATot, but like it's
Yes, yes,
more
yes.
it's like a big pillow that has an indent in the middle
Okay.
of it, and they
Yes.
kind of just like snuggle into it. Um,
Oh.
but I just put her in that, like in the bed with us, and like, and it's like high enough where you know it's there if you
Yeah.
roll over or whatever. But I honestly loved it
That's
for
awesome.
her. But the thing that I love right now, and this is really funny because I don't have like a whole lot of products, but um she's eating solids, right? She's
Uh-huh.
eating like some food, and the bib that catches food,
Oh, yes.
game changer.
It is so a game changer.
I'm like, I could literally just scoop all of that food up
Uh-huh.
that didn't reach your mouth and just put it back on your plate. Like,
Yep.
it's awesome.
Surprise! You got extra food, kid. I do the
You thought
same
I was putting
thing.
something on your plate.
Tricked ya.
So
Yes.
that's been
Those
pretty
like
awesome.
silicone ones, like I think I've
Yes,
seen your
yes,
stores before and we have some of
yeah.
those too and they are amazing.
I'm like,
Now, well,
why did
Bobby's
we?
like at the stage where she'll actually look down in the pocket and like search for treasures. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty cute.
Autumn just started doing that. Like,
Yes.
literally just started, and she's like,
Oh,
she's almost like, oh, what's in
I
here?
know. Oh, course number 2. Oh, it's so cute.
I'll even put like half-eaten food like back on.
Oh,
I'm like,
totally.
I
Okay,
know this is already in your mouth,
I know.
but you can go back in. It's fine.
You know something I thought of the other day? Well, it was more like a thought that I had as I was doing this action. Like how many times I pick up a piece of food off my baby, doesn't matter where, and it goes in my mouth. It's so embarrassing to say it, but it's like mindless now. Like I'm like, oh,
Yes,
this looks good. Like she didn't,
I know.
there's no boogers or slobber on it. I'm just gonna take a little snacky.
Oh,
I do it
I
all the
know it.
time, and I'm like,
Oh my
oh my
gosh.
god, don't do this in public, Brie. Like
I
that's
know.
so embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a quick story.
Yes, please.
Um, so it was kind of like when the car fire was happening.
Yeah.
And we were like serving coffee from the kitchen to like the admin building, like where all the leaders were and stuff like that. We just wanted to like serve them coffee while they were like doing all their stuff during the day. And I was going and I was like setting the coffee out on the counter, and some like coffee creamer like spilt on the counter, and I couldn't find a napkin, and my boss was standing right there with me, and I just like kind of just swiped it up with my fingers and just kind of like wiped it on my pants, and my boss just laughs, and she just looks at me and she's like, that is such a mom thing.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh,
just like,
totally. Yeah, totally. Like just wiping crap off of their faces
I
with your
know.
like pant leg. Yeah. Yes. Who knew? I
And
was
I
like
just
kind
was
of on
like, oh
like
my god.
yes. I think I was like borderline like clean freak or whatever they call it
Yes.
before I had a baby. No, no, no. I'll
OCD.
take it back before I got married. Yeah, marriage changed that too for sure. But that is hilarious. It would have been even funnier if you had like sipped it off the counter, like just like kind of because I can see that happening too. Like that would have been classic. Like
Or
just
like
a
wiped it
little.
off and just like put it in my
I know that's
mouth.
what I thought you were gonna say. Oh my gosh, that would have been so funny. I remember you were the first person that like introduced me to coffee. Really, like my dad had only
Yes.
drank it before, like. But in our first year of college, like you had it, I think every day, and I was like, who is this person? Like,
Yep.
you are a young person and you're drinking coffee. What is this drink?
Oh man. Oh
Well,
yeah.
and you
I
worked at a
I've
coffee
drank.
shop though for a long
I did.
time. Yeah,
I
you're
worked. If
yeah.
you count up all the years I worked
Yeah.
at a coffee shop, it is 12 years.
What? No
Yeah.
way. So you're kind of
Yeah.
like a Gilmore girl. Like you're probably like pro
Yes.
coffee
Oh my
maker.
gosh. Yes.
Yes.
Just call me Lorelai.
Yeah. Or Rory. Rory's good at it too. Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite holiday tradition with your family, or like with your extended family, or with your tiny family, your new family,
Right.
that you are excited to
Um,
dive in?
oh man. I mean, I don't have like a ton of holiday traditions. I definitely want to like start some. I don't really know like what, but as
Yeah.
far as like carrying over a holiday tradition, my on my mom's side of the family, we always would make chocolate waffles for Christmas
What?
Day.
Yum.
Yeah, yes, and it's like this like my grandma's recipe, like it's super easy too, like but they're like bomb, and like you put like whipped cream and like fruit on them with
Yum.
some syrup, and like it's
Yes.
literally like dessert for breakfast pretty much.
That's Christmas
um
right there.
yeah. So we would always do that with like my family, and then like David's family would always get like pajamas on Christmas Eve, and they would just
Oh,
sleep in them at night, and then they'd wake up in their pajamas. So
cute.
um but I don't really know I don't know any new traditions. I'm still like kind of thinking about that one. Oh wait, how could I forget? um
Woo, I'm excited.
we
Oh,
we're getting we want to get an ornament
oh
for like
yeah.
each of our kids every year.
Oh, that's cute.
So I was pregnant for last year, so me and David both picked out an ornament for autumn when I was pregnant, and then this year
Oh,
we'll go and maybe pick one out, and then like in future years they can all like just pick one out like every year. So that's kind of what I wanted to do.
that's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking up family Christmas footsie pajamas to see if you could find matching. I just think that'd be
Oh, I'm
awesome.
sure you can.
Oh yeah, yeah, there are definitely some out there. I'll have to like add a link for your. I'll just say this is what you wanted. Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
And then
Yes, please.
yes, and then to wrap it up, a piece of advice you'd give to your new mom.
Um, a piece of advice. I would just say, um, don't be too hard on yourself. It is a learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
Just take one day at a time, and yeah, I guess just give yourself a lot of grace, and
Yeah.
make sure make sure you process with people so you don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're alone.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, Elisa, thank you so much for sharing your story. This is so sweet.
No
I'm so
problem.
excited to share.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Please share this with a friend if it impacted you in any way, and leave a review on iTunes so other mamas can hear the truth that they are enough and they are doing their very best. Be sure to catch up on what's happening in the Mommispace community every day on Instagram at Mommispace. And you can email me at mommispace@gmail.com for questions or interview recommendations. All my love to you, Mama. You're amazing. See you next week. Just to say that I'm the